If you want to start a business with a freeze dryer, what types of things can you freeze dry? How do you know what to freeze dry, and how do you know if it's going to work? Today you're going to get those questions answered through an interview that I had with one of the freeze drying experts in an industry. And yes, there are experts in freeze drying. His name's Gene Ligman. Gene is widely known as a freeze drying expert, helping freeze drying businesses know exactly what they should freeze dry, how they should go about setting up their facility, because it's not just about the freeze dryer, it's about creating a recipe. It's about creating a facility that can really harness the power of the freeze drying process and eventually actually make you money. And so this particular snippet of my full interview with Gene is going to talk about what applications are there in freeze drying where you can start a business. What types of things has he seen work well? What types of things are happening right now that are very unique? What types of things do you need to think about if you're going to look at applications like powderizing something, creating supplements, pharmaceuticals, cosmetics? All of this is going to be discussed in this interview. This is an education type of video, so it's not going to have any type of music, sound effects, any type of B-roll that keep you engaged. This is more for you to better understand what freeze drying is if you're interested in doing that from someone who actually knows what they're talking about. So let's get to the interview with Gene and learn about the applications in freeze drying. Now, you've seen a lot of different things freeze dry. What are the most common applications in freeze drying that people are selling product with?
Right now, pet treats is probably the #1 freeze-dried product seller. The quantity of freeze drying that's going on in America is probably at least 60% pet treats. The second one is fruits, probably fruits. And that's because, you know, if you eat that cereal and it's got that little chunk of dried fruit in there, that's freeze-dried fruit. Mm-hmm. Right? Every chunk of fruit that's in the breakfast cereal on the shelf is all freeze-dried. So there's a lot of that. If you're eating soups, like an instant soup that's got some kind of protein in it, or even some of the soup itself is probably freeze-dried. So freeze-dried food for human consumption is probably the next, is by and far the largest sector. I would say probably you break that into two chunks. One is fruits and vegetables, and the other one's proteins.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably fairly even. I think maybe fruits and vegetables a little bit bigger than proteins.
So when I buy my beef bouillon or chicken bouillon cubes, are those cubes freeze dried?
No, they're probably spray dried.
What does that mean?
Spray dried is where you create a liquid slurry, and you get a really high temperature, and you spray it into a chamber that's got hot air blowing around, and by the time it gets from the nozzle to the bottom of the chamber, it's been dried.
Oh.
But because you're creating such small particles. So if you don't have a temperature limit, and bouillon doesn't, because you're going to put it in boiling water anyway, then you're probably going to spray dry it.
Now going back to the pets, freeze-dried pets food.
Right.
Now you said pet treats, but also is food being freeze-dried for, I mean, I would assume like the treat is for, you know, like very quick consumption for the dog or the cat, whatever, but what about freeze drying actual food?
Yeah, so there's a movement that started a number of years ago about feeding your dogs raw meat, because dogs evolved to eat raw meat. And there's a certain kind of nutrient content that's in raw meat that changes when you cook it. And that changes the nutrient content for the pet. And there's plenty of anecdotal evidence. I don't know if it's I don't think there's any clinical trials, but there's lots and lots of people who've seen pets like miraculously recover from diseases and whatnot when they started feeding them raw food. There's plenty of information online you can find. Well, there's two ways to get raw food for your dog. And if you have a bunch of dogs, it becomes a real problem. One is frozen, right? So you buy frozen meat, and you thaw it out and give it to your dog. So this has the burden of you're shipping heavy stuff, you're shipping it frozen, so it has to be done in a reefer. And then you have to buy it frozen, you have to get it back to your place while it's still frozen, and you have to put it in a freezer and store it still frozen. And then when you want to feed it to your dog, you have to spend the time thawing it out and not cook it, because that would destroy the entire purpose of buying it raw in the first place.
Right.
So an alternative is you freeze dry it while it's raw, and then all you have to do to feed it to your pet is either feed it to him dry, because a dog is going to eat a freeze-dried cube of beef just the same as if it's reconstituted, or you can throw it in a little bit of hot water for a minute or however long it takes for it to reconstitute. And by the way, high quality freeze-dried meat should reconstitute fairly quickly, like in a minute. Whereas meat that's been subjected to higher temperatures, maybe during the freeze-drying process and rendered some fats out, might take a lot longer or might not ever fully reconstitute for a dog. It might still be chewy. But now, because it's freeze-dried, you don't have to ship the weight. You don't have to do it in a reefer. You don't have to go to the store and buy it frozen and then get it back to your house and store it in the freezer until it's frozen. You don't have to thaw it out. All you have to do is throw it in some water or just toss a chunk to your dog who's going to like inhale it anyway.
Yeah. Now, what other animals and food is being freeze-dried besides like cat and dog?
Mostly it's proteins. So it's for cats and dogs and iguanas and whatnot, right? Pets that are going to be eating proteins. Now, a lot of these companies, they'll grind up their own actual ingredient recipe, where they'll put some liver, they'll put some fish to add the omega-3s, they'll put vegetables in to add nutrients of various types. They'll grind it all up into a mash, and then they'll extrude it in pellets or patties and freeze dry it that way. Like Stella and Chewy's, for example, is a company that does it that way. Many of them do. So they're actually creating a balanced diet in a patty for your pet, and it could be for whatever animal. There are different recipes for different animals.
So what are the applications with no food for freeze drying?
So anytime you want to powder an organic product, by organic I mean something that you would harvest and grind into some kind of powder. And when it's growing, it's going to be wet. Now you can either let it dry in the sun before you grind it, or you can do spray drying, you can do a number of different types of drying. But every one of those processes has their pluses and minuses. Spray drying is fast, but it's in hot air and it oxidizes and it changes and it cooks and everything else like that. Like cosmetics, anything that needs to be a powdered ingredient, this is actually a quickly growing market, like aloe vera, powdered aloe vera. Nutraceuticals is another one where people want to retain the live cultures in something like a yogurt or some kind of specifically cultured nutraceutical recipe.
Yeah.
They want to keep those cultures alive. You can't cook it, right? So you're very limited in how you can dry it. So drying it under vacuum means that you're drying it while it's really cold, and then you retain those things. The strangest things that I've heard of freeze drying are whole pets, right? Where people they love this pet. They want to like put it in a case and like look at it for a long time. It's like a different form of taxidermy. I don't know. I wouldn't do that to my pet, but people will do that. So whole pet, that's something.
Now, speaking of taxidermy, I mean, humans die as well. So if you were going to freeze dry a body part, what would you freeze dry?
Well, I have heard of placentas being freeze dried so that people can, because some women want to consume their placenta to get that nutrient content back into their body. Cultural awareness, in certain cultures, this is a thing. So, well, how do you preserve a placenta long enough to consume it over time? One way is to freeze dry it, because the nutrient content will be retained. There's a guy in Idaho who is freeze drying a certain product that he's going to be bringing to market. It's grown in certain areas of the world, and he wanted to test to see what the nutrient content retention is, because he's tried all different methods of drying, air drying, spray drying, grinding, sunlight, all of it, and there's all a serious degradation of the nutrient content. And he just got his results back he had it sent to the University of Utah for nutrient content analysis, and he said it was outstanding, as in greater than 98% nutrient content retention.
Wow.
So that's one of the reasons why you would want to spray or freeze dry as opposed to spray dry or air dry something that's going to go into a nutraceutical, because the whole point is to consume that nutrient content. Or for like a placenta. Placenta is kind of a strange...
Yeah. I've heard people freeze drying plasma.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Freeze drying is widely used in the medical industries. So medical freeze drying, which is called by a different name, it's called lyophilization, has been used for many decades. In fact, probably the number one user of freeze dryers in the world is medical applications. Almost every vaccine, many medicines are are freeze dried at some point. And also the detectors. So when we were all at home doing our home tests for COVID, all those little sensor strips that are in those testing kits, those are all freeze dried at one point.
Why is that?
I don't know. It has something to do with preserving the the integrity of the chemicals involved. But they didn't share the information as to why they're freeze drying it, but just that they are. So there's a company in Utah that has many freeze dryers that's all they do is just these detector sensing strips.
And that's all because the chemicals that are on that strip that then would give you a blue or double blue line, those chemicals need to be preserved. Otherwise, they would
react.
They would react and expire.
Yeah. So there's this rule of thumb in chemistry that if you raise the temperature of your chemical reaction by 10 degrees Celsius, the reaction rate will double. So if you go from 0 degrees to 10 degrees, you've doubled your reaction rate. If you go from 10 degrees to 20 degrees, you've doubled it again. So if you're drying it at, say, 100 degrees C, you can have a very fast reaction rate. And that can destroy lots of things. So the lower temperature you do it at, and minus 40 degrees C is pretty low, you can actually preserve things. You can stop the chemical reactions from happening.
Yeah.
Well, not stop, but you can slow them down to the point where it's negligible.
This is just a small snippet of my full-on conversation with Gene. It's over an hour long, so I broke it up into different parts. So if you want to check out more parts and different topics to learn more about freeze drying, check out the video description below. I've got links to those different sections. Now, videos are all well and good, but if you want to be more connected in person with people who are in the freeze drying space right now as entrepreneurs and business owners, but also people like Gene who are experts who want to help you, you can attend the Freeze Dried Summit in 2025 in Boise, Idaho. This is an event that I'm personally hosting through this channel. I've connected all different types of entrepreneurs and suppliers who can help equip you to start a freeze drying business, but also to grow your existing one through different methods and equipment that can really help advance your freeze drying business. So if you're interested, go to freezedriedsummit.com. The link below is in the video description. And if you're watching this after 2025, still go to Freeze Dried Summit because that is going to show you other freeze drying events that will happen in the future. All right, the thumbnails coming up next all feature things related to Gene and our interview, so check those out. I'll see you there.